Hello, Kartik Ji, Namaste. Hello, everyone. We have today great pleasure to talk to Kartik, who is the uh, Jyotishi, who is the mm, qualified Jyotishi who completed the PGC certification under the guidance of Shri Visti Larsen, who is studying Parampara Jyotish of Achyutananda Parampara by the guidance of Pandit Sanjay Rath, by the Sarbaniji Rath. So we have this great opportunity to uh, study something from the core parampara itself, from the qualified students. And what else? I know that you, Kartik Ji, were as an assistant teacher at Mantra Shastra program, second year, and so you are qualified in mantras as well. You can advise something. So this is going to be interesting. From your page, I read about that your father were Jyotish as well, and he studied you some basic. He taught you some basics, and funny that when your mother was pregnant by you, she developed this interest in Jyotish.
Yeah.
So we can say that for the pregnant ladies, we can say that if you start develop interest in Jyotish while you're pregnant, so you can be sure that some great Jyotisher will be will be born.
Hopefully.
Yes. Okay. Today you are about to present some interesting topic about the relationship, about the Upapada, and yeah, the words are to you. If you allow me, we will make this conversation. You will share the charts, the lecture about the topic of Upapada, and if there is something we can discuss, maybe I ask some questions. Is it possible to make it this way?
Yeah, sure. If wherever you feel that there's some pertinent question you want to ask, you can. I'll wait for you. Not a problem.
Okay, great. So let's go.
Okay. So in the parampara, before we start, we say the Guru mantra, which is Om Gurave Namah, 12 times. So I would be saying that, and if you want, you can join with me on that, and then we'll start with the
Okay,
presentation.
great.
ॐ गुरवे नमः 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 ॐ Om Harimarkataya Swaha. So, we're going to talk about Upapada today. I mean, many people amongst your audience would know that Upapada is basically the Arudha Bhava of the 12th house. Okay.
Yes.
The calculation of Arudha and all is well known, right? With all the exceptions and everything. What we'll try and understand is first a bit of philosophy of what Upapada is, a bit of theory on that. Okay. And then we will delve into cases, and through cases we'll understand things more better. Okay. There'll be some principles through cases we'll understand. Okay. And I have a few cases to present to you, some interesting cases today. Yeah. So, when we talk of Upapada, first we need to understand the 12th house itself, because Upapada is derived from the 12th house. Okay. Why are we, and Upapada is related to relationships, specifically a primary relationship with our spouse, right? And there are Upapadas for each spouse. Some people have multiple spouses over the course of their lifetime, and there is different Upapada for each spouse. Now, why is 12th house linked to this? Okay, in the next slide, but we'll not go over there right now. In the next slide, the first line itself says that it is the one following you. Okay, it's the one following the lagna. Okay, like the spouse follows you. Okay, they are dependent upon you. What is following you is also dependent upon you. Okay, it is your family. It is your nuclear family, the family which you created, not the family which you were born into, but the family that you created. Okay, the family that you were born into is your second house. Okay, and Sanjay Guruji in one of our lectures very nicely explained the definition of family. Okay, family is that who rejoice at your birth and who grieve at your death. So when you're coming into this world and when you're leaving this world, who is there is the family. The family, however, is different. The one which you are, who rejoice at your birth are your parents primarily, right? And that is, your second house, your birth family. You are eating from them. They feed you. They take care of you. They are you treat it as a resource, right? Then after a while you grow up, become mature, and then you are capable enough to have your own family. And that family is coming from your 12th house. They are dependent upon you. They are eating from you, you may say. You are giving to them. Right? So what is important in this is to understand the concept of giving. Right? And that is the key thing when we say, there's a partner, you live with them and all that. And we'll come across cases where people have had affairs, but that doesn't become an Upapada. Right? It's important to understand what is Upapada.
So, from the parents' family, you take, and the family that you create, you give. So it's like this.
Yeah.
And what about this? Yes, you said that it's important to understand what is Upapada, and there is always a doubt whether my serious relationship counts as Upapada, or it doesn't count. How do you decide?
Yes.
This is madness about all the relationships. And
so these are the complicated questions which are there, right? And which only with experience and after seeing charts you will understand, you will grasp it, and each person has to grasp it for himself, right? Whatever theory it is there, ultimately unless you practice it on charts and you see a chart, this is there, that relation has to come for yourself. Then it becomes an understanding inside you. Okay. So, but a simple definition, Lord Krishna has defined marriage, okay, that is an Upapada, as a period of 1 year. Period of 1 year when people are together, right? That's a very straightforward and one may say simple definition of what Upapada is. Okay, but but the key thing is about giving. 12th house is also about faith. Okay. So unless you have these things about giving, faith, 12th house is about gati, the direction in which you're going. Okay. Right. So if there are two people over here, you put one image over here, right? Similar to what I had shared, the image which I had originally shared also had the same thing. You had two people walking out, being together, right? So you're in the same direction, you're walking in the same direction, you're together. There's a trust or belief in each other, right? These are the things which we have to understand when you think about Upapada. Okay. Now the Karaka for relationships is Venus, right? The 12th house, natural 12th house, is the exaltation of Venus. Venus exalts in Pisces, which is the natural 12th house.
Yes.
Right. So that also shows what is the meaning of Pada. And exaltation is what? Exaltation is purity. Exaltation energy is purity. In Parampara, we are taught exaltation energy is Vishnu energy. It's purity, right? So there is that element of, when we try and differentiate between 7th house and 12th house, right? 7th house is considered as a normal house for spouse and relationships and all that. What is the difference? The natural 7th house is the office or the Mula Trikona of Venus. It is a kind of work. It's more transactional, right? While exaltation is where it is enjoying, it is happy. Okay. So these are aspects we have to understand. I think we'll go to the next slide, and then over a period of few slides, maybe we'll explain more concepts.
Great, let's go.
So let me go to the next one. It's visible, right? The next slide?
Yes, it is visible. Yeah.
So the fundamentals, and this is from Brihadarashara Aura Shastra, everyone can access these things. The pada is another word for arudha. Okay. Pada of Tanubhava is the pradhana pada. Tanubhava is the lagna. Tanu means body. It is the lagna which we are talking about. So that is the pradhana pada, meaning it is the most important arudha. Okay. And the one which follows it, anuchara, means pada of anuchara of Tanubhava. Anuchara means one who follows. Okay. And we discussed that just now. That is Upapada. The word Upa itself indicates that it is very close to. We have words like Upanishad, Upasana, and so on. All these indicate something which is very close, sitting next to. So the Upapada is something which is very important and next to. And it's interesting that in the entire Brihadarashara Aura Shastra, Maharishi Parashara talks about Arudha Lagna. There are chapters devoted to Arudha Lagna, and there are chapters devoted to Upapada, not as much the other Arudha. So that is the importance of Upapada. Okay.
Can you elaborate a little bit on the topic? Why? Lots of Jyotishis, they don't even look at Arudha and even more at Upapada. Why Arudha is important as it is? I mean, many people just look for Lagna as the important house. Why do we look at Arudha? What is the difference between Arudha and Lagna? What is the difference between 12th house? Why can we look at the 12th house as you described it? Why should we look at Upapada?
So, firstly, why do we look at Arudha, right? So Arudha is, see, this world when we look at, okay, at one level, if we look from, I'm going at a very philosophical level first, and then we'll come down. So, if we say Advaita, Advaita says there is nothing different, there's only one, right? But when we get into samsara, there is not one, there is two, right? There is the Atman or the Brahman, and then there is the world around. Okay, the world around, which we call Maya, it is not like it is not real, right? In our frame of living existence, it is real, right? We cannot so we cannot expect that there is no world around me. I'm like, you need to be a very, very high level of saint to be of that level, right? Now, what matters here is not just what you are within you, your soul, your mind, your manas, not just that, but what is outside also.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I am a Jyotishi, not just because I've learned Jyotish and all that, but I am also someone who's seen by people as a Jyotishi.
Mm-hmm.
Right? If people don't accept me as Jyotishi, then however much learning I have of Jyotish, it is not really of that much matter. It may not amount to much. The people, the society has to also accept me as that, right? So it is the image of me, okay, but it is not just something unreal. It really matters quite a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, for most people, it is all that people see of them. Okay, so hence okay, your lagna is phenomenal. Your Jupiter in lagna in Digbala, very well placed. Your Hamsa Mahapurush Yoga, all that is fine. But do people see that?
Mm-hmm.
Do people see that level of intellect you are having? Okay, the heights to which your brain can go, your intellect can go. Do people see that? Okay, are you seen as like that? Are you seen as someone who's that intelligent? So Aruda is, our people is that image being accepted by people around you.
Mm-hmm. Perception.
And this is not just, this is for every bhava. It is in the same way. Okay, and the most important person, see, in your life, who can influence and shape your life is the people you are having relationship with. Your spouse, most important amongst them. They are witness to all your actions.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so hence that also is an equally important Aruda, that Upapada. Okay, and from there you can actually independently look at those people. Okay, what is the image that they are having? Okay,
Mm-hmm.
Hillary Clinton, whose chart we will see, her Upapada Lagna is having moon in it, very well placed. Okay, a spouse who will be very popular.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So that is that is what you're able to see from there. That is the image. What is the image the spouse will have? What will be recognized in the society as? If you just look at the 12th house or 7th house, you may see what they are within themselves as a person. Okay, and that's where it's pertinent to say it right away. The 12th house is a very determining factor of what the Upapada will be. Suppose your 12th house has Jupiter,
Mm-hmm.
and one of your Upapada, let's say the first Upapada is having Rahu. Okay, that Jupiter will not accept that Rahu. Because the 12th house is your bhava, is your thinking of what you want your partner to be like. The person, the life partner who will be with you in every, in ups and downs, in all the situations, how he should be like. That you want a Jupiter, you are thinking of a Jupiter. So if the Upapada is having a Rahu, it will not be accepted.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. So the grahas should be friends with each other. They should correlate in order 12th house and Upapada to be friends between themselves in order this Upapada to rise up.
Yeah. For that Upapada to manifest, for a partner to come through that, with whom you will have a relationship, a long-term relationship, that is. Okay. So that's what Upapada is called, Gaunapada. What does the word Gauna come from? Gauna comes from Guna, right? We have Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas gunas. Guna is the quality, the virtue, the level of, goodness or whatever you have in you. Okay, this it is showing where you are heading to. Okay, because I said 12th house is also the gati, right? Are you going to the temple or are you going to the bar or tavern? Which direction are you going? Your spouse, depending on the kind of spouse you have, that affects your guna. It can go up or down. Okay.
Spouse is very influencing one's guna.
Yeah. Very true. I mean, the 12th house is a big influence on your guna. As someone who has a 12th Jupiter in 12th house, that's fantastic. It's one of the best things, really. You may say Jupiter is weak, but no, the Jupiter is keeping the guna of the person very high. Is a very giving kind of person.
Yeah, true.
Some basics, like any other bhava, benefic sign, benefic planets in the upada or aspecting upada are good. Malefic planets, malefic signs are not good. The you may say question arises when say it's a malefic which is also lording the upada.
Or exalted, or exalted, for example.
Or exalted.
Or benefic.
Right? So then you cannot blanket say that it will do bad. Okay, but yet there will be some problem. A malefic's nature is to cause some issue. Okay, and that's where you have to judge, and we'll have some cases where we'll see those scenarios as well. Okay, Sun. Now you say, okay, malefic, benefic. Where does Sun fit in? Okay, Sun is Krura, but not Papa. Okay, so the Gemini says very clearly that Sun is always good for Upapada. Okay,
because it's for the dharma. Because sun represents dharma and relationships and strong relationships. They sometimes bond on the dharma, having children, playing your role in the relationship, being a man, being a woman.
Yes.
Because of that, right?
Yes. Though, since you asked this question, what comes to my mind is that since you said that the 12th house is related to guna of a person, and Sun is a sattva guna planet.
Sattva as well, yeah, that's true.
So that is an important thing that now. But if this Sun is debilitated, or if it is in an inimical sign, then it may not be that good. Okay, so you have to judge those things very carefully. Okay. On the other hand, Sun is well placed, exalted, or in friendly sign. It will always be good. It will not cause a problem. Okay. Go to next slide. Okay. Now, in the case of Upada, second house is also an important house we see. Understand the second house from the Upapada is also an important point from which we understand the Upapada itself. Okay. The second house is always related to the duration, longevity, okay, or something, and also when something ends. So let's say you have all benefics and everything good in Upapada, but let's say you're malefic related to second house from Upapada, then that is something which will try to end the marriage, okay, or it will cause diseases to the spouse if not end the marriage, okay, either one of that. Or when you end the marriage, like during the marriage things will be all fine and hunky-dory because benefics associated with Upapada, but after you end the marriage, what is going to happen? If there is malefics associated, then you will have a very tough period. Okay, so how is it during the relationship and how it is after ending the relationship? That is the distinction between the Upapada itself and the second from Upapada.
Interesting.
We also got to see Venus and Dharakaraka as well. Okay, Dharakaraka is the Charakaraka related to relationships. Okay, so Venus and in fact we have a specific rule. Also, we say that preferably in Upapada which has Venus in trines, okay, and Jupiter in Kendra. Okay, so Venus in trines ensures that there is affection between the two people. And Jupiter in Kendra ensures that there is stability in the relationship. This Kendra is about stability, about resources. You're sustained.
Where Dharakaraka should be placed then? In Kendra, trines, or Dharakaraka?
So in this instance, what I would say is the Dharakaraka itself, you see, the way of understanding Dharakaraka is very different. Okay. We'll not be covering or dwelling on that today that much because one has to understand Charakarakas and all those, which is different.
It's another topic, yeah.
But mainly what you want to see is the Dharakaraka should have a good sambandha with the Atma Karaka.
I see.
Where should you see Dharakaraka from? You should see how it is vis-a-vis the Atma Karaka. And also obviously you don't want the Dara Karaka afflicted and all that. That also causes issues. Okay. So the point about bringing Dara Karaka is to understand that there are Karakas also, which you have to understand. Okay. Because the Karaka is ultimately what will come from God. Okay. So the Venus you will see, especially as a relationship starts and develops, and the Dara Karaka is very important in terms of the sustenance and continuity of relationship. Okay. Jupiter, why Jupiter? You know, why I said Jupiter should be in Kendra is because Jupiter is a kind of a sub Karaka for the 12th house, and it is also the natural lord of the 12th house. Okay. Jupiter is a planet whose Swakshetra is Pisces. Okay. For Ketu, it is Mula Trikona. It is his office, it is his work. But for Jupiter, it is Swakshetra. Swakshetra means somewhere where you are comfortable. Okay. When you go back home, what do you want? You don't want to work. You want to go and relax, right? You want to re-energize, recharge your batteries, right? So Jupiter as Swakshetra indicates that, you know. So hence Jupiter being well placed on the Upapada Lagna or linked to Upapada Lagna in some way, some positive manner, okay, is always good. Okay. The Upapada or Upapada second house having linked to signs of Mercury can cause infidelity.
There is gonna be a lot of disturbance in the mind of people who will listen to this.
My objective is not that, but it's important to understand. So, yeah, but this is the dictum, right?
This is
See, Mercury, Buddha was born out of infidelity, right? Between Chandra and Tara. That's the story of his birth. Now, the UL second house, Upapada Lagna second house, can show the certain diseases which can affect the spouse. As I said, you know, either the second house tries to always end. It's the Maraka Bhava for the Upada. So if there is certain malefic combinations or certain planetary combinations which will come to in the next slide, that will show the kind of disease which can afflict the spouse.
There is always this question that arises, the common question. Second house supposed to feed, support, but it's Maraka. It kills. And this is the common question. How do you decide whether it's going to support or whether it's going to end the relationship? What's going on? How to deal with this?
Firstly, why should it kill? Second house. If it is a house of food,
yes,
then why? Right?
Because it cuts down the food.
Yeah. So because we all have a certain amount of food for our life. Right? Just like we have a certain amount of karma for our life, we can only earn certain amount of food or wealth in our lives. Okay, so there is a limit to that. Okay, and the second house is showing, okay, you have this much of limit. When it is ending, it's like a battery. When the battery is discharged, it's not the battery which is killing you, but the battery is over. It's got discharged. It's showing the duration of how much energy you have or how much food you have. That is why second house is as a Maraka. Okay.
When battery goes down, you have to either or recharge it or I don't know, change the battery.
Yeah. So if second house has benefits, then obviously you have a longer duration because of that. And if you have malefics, you have a shorter duration. That's the simple way to understand it. Okay. This is one of the important things to correct the Upapada Lagna. Okay, and at times you can also use it to correct the Janma Lagna of spouse. That is the spouse's Janma Lagna is trines or seventh house to the Upapada Lagna. Okay. Or it will be somewhere strongly linked in the sense that the Lord will be the same. Okay, in the chart of in my chart, let's say the Lord of Upada Lagna goes to a sign which is the Lagna of the spouse. That way also you can connect. Okay. The other important thing is that the 5th house and 9th house from the Upada Lagna show children. Okay. Now here it is interchange. Normally we take 5th house in male chart for children and 9th house in female chart for children, right? But here it is interchange because the Upapada is showing the opposite sex.
And we have
right. So I am a man. In my case, my Upapada is showing my wife, who is a female. So from her, from that Upapada, it will be 9th house. So in male charts, we see 9th house from Upapada for children, and similarly in female charts, we will see 5th house from Upapada for children.
So does it mean that if we look for the children like 5-9, that from Upapada we can also look for the 10th house to see what is it that spouse doing? Maybe brothers, sisters, like 3rd house and stuff like that.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. You can look at that.
Does it mean that 7th house from Upapada, it's the person itself?
Yeah, so that's where, when you extend a concept too much, you should be careful. Okay. This is in your chart itself, right? So, but it may be what you are to the spouse.
I see.
That, what you are to the spouse also may change depending on which Upapada you're looking at, right? Which spouse you're looking at. Okay. So these are the basics. I'll also show this slide where I have put together the various combinations. This specifically for 2nd house from Upada. Okay. Like, if you have Mercury and Ketu, then it causes bone issue. Okay. Now, a simple way to understand this maybe complicated slide is wherever you have Ketu with one of the Tara Grahas. Okay, Tara Grahas are the 5 weekday planets apart from Sun and Moon. Okay,
yes.
Which is Mercury, Mars, Jupiter, Venus, and Saturn. Right. So
Agni, Jala.
Exactly. The Tattva.
Tattva Graha.
5 Tattva Grahas. Okay. So the Ketu is basically when it conjoins them, it is damaging the Tattva. Okay. So Mercury is ruling Prithvi Tattva. So basically, bone issues indicating the Prithvi Tattva is getting damaged. The structure is getting damaged in some way. Venus plus Ketu is called blood disorder, but basically it is indicating some Jala Tattva issue. Okay. And these are the primary ones, but similarly you can extrapolate for the other Tattvas also. But Ketu is specifically bad for these Rajas Grahas. Okay. And the remedy is going to the Tattva Devata. Okay. Then this is one thing, when Mercury is linked to Mars and Saturn, okay, then it causes Nasika Roga. Okay. Now, what Mars and Saturn are doing is Mars and Saturn combination is called Yama Yoga.
Yama Yoga.
It's like Yama coming in, right? So this Yama is affecting Mercury, and Mercury is rules nose and nasal passage and all that. So that's why Mercury is getting, and also breathing for that matter. Okay. When Sun is with Rahu and Saturn, it causes Asti Jvara. Okay, this is bone fever. Here, basically, the Agni Tattva is afflicted because Sun rules Agni Tattva. Now, when Sun and Rahu are together, the solution is going to Jupiter. Okay. And this is another principle which you have to understand here. Whenever any planet is conjoining Rahu, okay, what is getting afflicted is the 5th house, 5th planet in weekday order from that. Okay. So when Sun and Rahu, I'm sorry?
From the planet that is conjoined with Rahu.
Yeah, the planet which is conjoined with Rahu.
So okay. Sun and Rahu, this is eclipse combination as well. And yes. We go to Dakshinamurti as the Jupiter. Okay.
Yes, we go to Dakshinamurti also because it's Jupiter. It's eclipse as well as Jupiter. So why? Because from Sun, if you count the weekdays, Jupiter is the 5th. Okay. Similarly, if Moon plus Rahu conjoin, then it is affecting Venus.
Yes.
Okay. And vice versa also. When Venus and Rahu conjoin, it affects Moon. When Jupiter and Rahu conjoin, it affects Sun. Okay, so there is this complementary effect which is there. Okay, and this is important to understand in some charts where we'll see also, like there's an example of Venus plus Rahu, and yeah, like Jupiter plus Saturn causes ear disease. Ear is linked to sound. Akash Tattva, sound. So Jupiter is basically linked to Akash Tattva. Okay, this is interesting. Jupiter plus Rahu, as I said, affects Sun, and hence this causes dental issues. Sun rules bones. Okay. Saturn and Rahu is causing apavada. Apavada means some sort of scandal, bad name, infamy, and all that. And depending on the type of sign which this Saturn plus Rahu combination is there, it causes a particular type of infamy. Okay. So if let's say if it is in the sign of Sun, it may cause some issues with the government. Okay. Some taxation issues or something like that. If it is in the sign of Jupiter, it is reversed because Jupiter is Jiva. So it may cause murder of someone. Okay. If it is in the sign of Mercury, then
can we make this count? Because we said that whoever conjoins the Rahu, the fifth graha by the weekday order is the one that afflicted becomes
Correct.
afflicted, right? With Saturn, with Shani with Rahu, does it apply this rule as well?
Yes, it applies. Shani plus Rahu affects Mercury.
Mercury.
Yeah. Similarly, Saturday, Mercury plus Rahu affects
Monday, Tuesday. So we don't count in this order, weekday order. We don't count Rahu Ketu. Is right?
One second, let me just count it.
We exclude.
Mars, I'm sorry, it is affecting Mars. My mistake. So Saturn plus Rahu is affecting Mars, and similarly, Mars plus Rahu will affect Saturn. You count, okay, in this count, what you do is you consider Rahu and Ketu is 1.
Rahu and Ketu is 1, okay. Because Rahu is already in this combination, okay.
Yeah, you consider, so like you have, as if you have 8 numbers.
8.
Sun to Rahu, like that.
So we count Saturday, then we count Ketu, I guess.
So for example, let's say Saturn plus Rahu, right? So you count Saturn, then Rahu Ketu is 1, number 2, Sun, Moon, Mars. That is the 5th.
Okay, yeah.
That way.
Okay. So depending on the sign of Rahu, we see the
sign. Yeah, sign where Rahu is placed, that will cause a particular type of scandal. Okay, and we have one specific case for that also. Okay. Now Saturn and Rahu, if they are in Aquarius or Pisces, okay. Now, if they are in Aquarius or Pisces, and this is the second house from UL, then the UL itself is a sign of Saturn, right? Either it is Capricorn or Aquarius. So then it may not cause, because Saturn will not try to damage its own signs. It will not cause a scandal, but it will still, Saturn has a tendency of causing some issues, so it will cause some disease to the individual. Okay. So let's move to the cases now. I think
before we go to the cases, let me just I don't know. We will. I think we will make this our meeting as several parts. So we're gonna just this first part was about fundamentals, about Upapada, about Aruda, and in the next in continuation of this video, in the next video, we will discuss some examples and see how it applies on the charts, and how can we examine the charts having the knowledge of the Upapada. So thank you very much. See you in the next one, in the continuation here. Okay, hello everyone. We continue our lesson on Upapada, and we continue with examples. Previous lesson was about fundamentals of understanding Aruda and Upapada, and we again welcome Kartik Ji. Let's go to the Upapadas presentation.
So now we are going to discuss on cases, and through that also we'll understand the principles better. Okay. So the first example I have is of Queen Victoria and her husband, the Prince Consort Albert, right? They were married at a pretty young age, I think 18 or 19. Both of them were of same age almost. I hope the charts are okay and visible for everyone. On the left, we have the chart of Victoria, Queen Victoria, and on the right, we have the chart of Albert. And I've given all the three types of charts, depending on what each person is comfortable with. Okay. So if you look at Queen Victoria's chart, the 12th house is having Venus and Mercury. Okay, so important to understand what are the planets there. Okay, right. This is good because Venus and Mercury are good planets to be in, their benefics. Okay, that does itself something good. Now to calculate the Upapada, we count from the sign to the Lord Mars, which is placed in 12th therefrom, and we count same number of houses, which is 12th house from there, which is Aquarius. Okay, just for those who are comfortable in the southern side, this is the 12th house, and Mars is over here, which is 12th from the 12th house, and we count Upapada as 12th there from Bhavat Bhavam, and we get the sign of Aquarius. So Aquarius is the sign which is Upapada. Okay. Firstly, we want to confirm whether this is actually Prince Albert, right? That's the step number one we see always, right? Otherwise, you may count, maybe reading someone else's lives through this. So this is the chart of Prince Albert, and his Lagna is exactly in 7th house from that. So the rule is that the spouse's Lagna should be in trines. So it can be in Aquarius, Gemini, or Libra, or it can be 7th house. Okay. And there are some exceptions. Like, for example, we may also accept Capricorn also. Okay, if it were. So this case, it is very clear. It is, in 7th house. So this is Prince Albert's. So this Upapada is representing Prince Albert in the chart of Queen Victoria. Okay.
You can write down here if you wish, like you mark, like this is Upapada, this is trines and stuff like this.
Okay, cool. I'll just.
So it's going to be visible, yeah.
This is the Upapada which you're talking about. Okay. Now, so we have. So this is not a what you call benefic sign. Okay, it's Aquarius.
Right? Yes, this is Aquarius.
Usually there is a bit of instability related to Aquarius as an Upapada. Okay, but the second house is lorded by Jupiter. That is always positive. Okay, so though this Jupiter is in Neecha Sthana, right? The second house has Saturn and Rahu. Now Saturn and Rahu, being lords of the Upapada, they may not cause that much of damage. Okay. But I am not so happy with Mars over here. Okay, even though Mars is the 12th lord, so it's a kind of a battle over here, one may say. Okay. But having said that, so when you judge things, you have some positive and some negative as well. Okay.
There is Parivartana. Yes, there is Parivartana going on with Saturn and Jupiter as well. So
yes,
Jupiter supports.
Which is a positive thing, which is actually a good thing, because that is strengthening Jupiter over here and helping it influence the second house from Upapada. Okay. So and this is a 9th house Jupiter, so that's also a good thing. Okay. So when you look at it, okay, 12th house has some benefits, which is a positive thing. Okay. And I believe also this Rahu is, it's not, we don't have the Navamsha here, but this Rahu is Vargottama. That's the strength Rahu has. And Rahu is also, if I'm not wrong, Dharakaraka in this chart. Okay. So these are some positive factors, and this helps to sustain the marriage. So this marriage lasted for around 23 years. Okay. and they had around 9 children together. Okay, and it was see, it was a royal marriage, and generally royal marriages, no one really expects them to be that happy or great and all that. But this was a, I mean, they had their share of problems, but they were together, right? And Victoria depended upon Albert in a big way. So much so that when he died prematurely, right, it was a big shock for her. I mean, she never really got out of that because she leaned upon him, she depended upon him a great deal. Okay, so we can see that the positives are there. Jupiter is lording the second house, it is connecting to the second house. Saturn and Rahu are not really trying to damage as much. Okay, this
because of
second house, but
because
there
of
is
lordship,
problem
yes,
also
because of the lordship of the Aquarius.
because of the lordship of Upada. Yeah, so that's why you have to be careful when you say malefics will damage. But they did cause a problem, right? I mean, there were some issues in the marriage, but more importantly, see, this is a second house issue. So the problem is after marriage, when the marriage ends. So when the marriage ended, it affected Victoria so badly. I mean, she became like she withdrew herself. Okay, she was not. I mean, there's a, you may say it impacted her at a soul level very deeply. An aspect of her was shut down forever. Okay. Now, what was the reason? I mean, see, after all, you have these three malefics over here. They are bound to cause some problem, right? So, when we have the way to understand this is Mars and Saturn are kind of causing a Yama Yoga on Rahu, right? Rahu here is, I mean, it's not like Saturn wants to cause an issue, but what is happening is Mars is overpowering Saturn. Whenever Mars and Saturn are together, Mars will tend to overpower Saturn because Saturn's debilitation sign is a sign of Mars. So whenever Saturn is with Mars, it will become humble. It will feel very dejected. Well, Mars becomes like very strong,
exalted, yeah.
Yeah, because Mars exalts in Saturn sign, and this affects Rahu. Okay, and when Rahu is affected, what it damages is the udara or the stomach area. Okay, because Rahu and Ketu, they are like the intestines. Intestines are like snakes inside us, right? So Rahu and Ketu are reflecting the intestines. There you have a problem coming from the intestine. Okay, and in fact, because they are also lording the Upapada Lagna, Rahu is lording the Upapada Lagna. From very early on, Albert had problems with regards to his, he had gastric issues. Okay, and eventually when he died, okay, though the reason stated is something different, I think typhoid or something, but approaching towards his death, almost few months before that, he had continuous problems with his, his gastric area. And on top of that, we learned Saturn and Rahu together cause Apavada, right? So here, what happened was that their eldest son, who was I think around 20 years of age at that time, he got embroiled in some scandal, okay, with some courtesan or something like that. Okay, more like a sexual nature. He was more of a playboy kind of person. Their eldest son. Okay, now I mean, in those days, the royalty and all, they had to be above, such things and all. So always Albert was a troubleshooter. Okay, so he had to journey quite a lot of distance in bad health. Okay, and I think he suffered an accident also in that, which almost took his life. Okay, see, this is a sign of Jupiter. It can cause murder. Okay, so but maybe the Parivartana is protecting him. So, but he didn't die, but it was a near brush with death. But he had to rush there to quell this problem. Okay. Then he came back, and when he came back, there was a diplomatic issue. Okay, with United States of America. Okay. What happened was one ship of the Britishers that was apprehended by the United States. Okay, and this was in the midst of the civil war which was going on in America, and there was some issue linked to that. This caused a major diplomatic problem, and Albert had to diffuse it. So how to write to the Americans so that this issue gets solved and all that. So he had to, spend a lot of time on this. So if you can see, I mean, this was a ship which was caught on high seas by the Americans. Spices indicates the seas. Okay, right. So all this put a major problem on his health, and he died. Okay, and he was hardly 40 to 43 years old at that time. Okay, so I mean, so while they had a stable marriage, 23 years is a pretty long time. Okay, and they had a lot of children, but this marriage did end prematurely. Okay, and that is shown by the. So I've taken a very nuanced and bit complicated case straight away, show you the complexities over here. There are some positives, there are some negatives. What do you see? You know how to balance it out. Okay.
There is one philosophical question arises about fate and freedom of choosing the person to be your spouse. If you see your spouse having huge malefics on Upapada, is it about you that you about to experience in your life? Should it be approved in your chart as well? Because we have to look all these things about his health in Albert's chart as well. We have to find it out. So if she would have married another prince, would he have this stomach issues and stuff like this? So this is the question that arises.
Yes, what one can definitely say is that the first Upapada, whoever that person is, whether it was Albert or someone else, though I don't think anyone else would have come, because you see, you need to have a spouse whose karmas match with that. Also, right? So they would have faced this problem. Something or the other of this issue would have been there. Okay. If you see Albert's chart, he has a nice 12th house, Venus over there, benefic sign, in a benefic planet in a benefic sign. And this Venus having a parivartana with moon.
With moon, beautiful.
So very beautiful. And the Upapada would come to Libra, it's I think.
Libra, that's right.
Yeah, this is the sign, Libra. Okay. It has moon over there, a very famous spouse. Someone who's very well known with moon, Venus, parivartana, yoga over here. Okay, you will see how it matches with her lagna. They are lorded by the same planet.
That's right.
Okay, in fact, moon is there in his Upapada lagna, and moon is there in her lagna, and it is exalted moon. Okay, so yes, and so there's a lot of other things. We will go to the next case, and we'll understand more principles from there. Otherwise, I can keep on analyzing this chart and show children and whatnot. Okay, but I think we have explained the key things. What I wanted to help you understand is the complexities between UL first house and second house over here.
What about Navamsha? Should we are looking that Upapada has too much match trines to Lagna of the person? What about Upapada and and Navamsha? If it is
how the Upapada Lagna, whichever Upapada Lagna it is, right? Yeah. It should match to the marriage house in the Navamsha. So the 7th house in Navamsha is your first marriage, right? So your first Upapada Lagna, there must be some connection, like some similar planet connecting both of them. Okay, I don't have the Navamsha over here. Otherwise, I would have shown that to you how it is matching.
Yes, but what if the relationship is serious but never comes to the marriage? They've been living together like for 1-2 years and then they get separated. Will it be shown this connection that this was the Upapada, but they never get married? Should it be looked in Navamsha?
See, I think the formal marriage aspect is not required over here. If they have been together for a substantial period of time and they considered each other, like as a husband and wife, all but in name, they are like husband and wife, right? And maybe even recognized as such amongst people around, that okay, these are like a boyfriend and a girlfriend, they are together. Right? Like I believe, who was it? Johnny Depp. I think he was. I think who was it with Amber Heard or someone else? He was. I mean, they had relationship lasting for many years and they didn't marry,
Mm-hmm.
right? But it is marriage. It is marriage, and they in fact even had children, if I'm not wrong. So that is marriage.
Mm-hmm.
That is Upada Lagna. That's also marriage.
But what
No
if
doubt
it
about
doesn't? But what if it doesn't match? I mean, Upapada, first Upapada and seventh house in Navamsha. What does it mean? If they don't correspond, there is no link.
There would be link. To my understanding, there would always be link between the Upada Lagna and seventh house from Navamsha. Okay. If not, you have to see whether your Navamsha is correct. Navamsha Lagna
Oh,
is
that's
correct.
that's the good point. That's a good point. I see.
You can actually correct your Navamsha Lagna basis these things.
That's a good point on making Navamsha rectification. Good one. Okay.
Shall we go to the next case?
Yeah. Next case. Let's go.
So, okay, this is a very famous couple, Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton, right? So we're going to examine Hillary's chart over here.
Okay.
So this is Hillary's chart on the left and Bill's chart on the right. So where is her Upapada? So her 12th house is Taurus, a good sign. Rahu over there, interesting. Okay, Rahu is also having Ayush Ucha, meaning a long lasting thing. Okay, but Rahu also can cause problems. Okay, the 12th lord is Venus, right, which is in Libra. So you count from Rahu to Libra and Taurus to Libra, and then count the same number of signs. So you get the Upapada over here in Pisces. Okay, Pisces has Moon, a very famous spouse. Moon is very well placed.
Good moon, yeah.
Yeah, same like in case of Albert, right? And you can see Bill Clinton. He has
Cancer.
Lagna in trines to this Pisces.
And connected to the moon, Cancer Lagna.
Moon is connecting also. Okay. So now, how is this?
I'll write it down again. Okay, moon, and moon. Okay, this is Upapada. This is Bill. This is Bill. Okay.
Yeah. So how is it? Okay, so the Upapada Lagna itself is pretty good, right? You have moon, you have Jupiter. It is connected to Jupiter. Jupiter is lord of it, and it is also well placed from there. You would prefer Jupiter to be in Kendra, but it is also lording this sign, so I have no complaints over here. Okay, there's no really any malefic aspect on the Upapada itself. Okay, and when we say aspect, we're talking of Rashi Drishtis over here. Okay, Graha Drishtis also matter, but Graha Drishtis will affect during the dasha of those planets whose Graha Drishti we are looking at. Okay, but Rashi Drishti is what we are always worried, because that can really affect a lot. Okay. So the second house from there is also something we should examine, right? Now you have some positives over here. You have Ketu and Jupiter, which are having Rashi Drishti on this. Okay, especially Jupiter Drishti is very good. Okay, but the lord of this is Mars, which is Nichasthana. Okay. Having said that, it is with Saturn, so I will still say it is something which can overcome this. And also in Hillary's chart, Mars is in Ucha in exaltation in Navamsha. Okay, so that is a Nichabanga Raj Yoga. Okay, and this is by the way, this is the Lagna of Bill Clinton.
Cancer
Lagna. Okay, so you can see the positive and negative again over here. Okay, now where do we see that the spouse will have scandals of the sort that Bill Clinton had, which is primarily sexual scandal? So you can see that the second lord from Upapada is Mars, which is having an influence of Rahu and Saturn. And we learned the sutra, Saturn plus Rahu causes apavada, scandals. Okay.
And you mean have an influence by Rashi Drishti?
Yes, they are having Rashi Drishti. We see Rashi Drishti in this.
Yes.
Yeah, that is a permanent thing. Otherwise, if Rahu had Graha Drishti, you may say during the Dasha of Rahu or something linked to Rahu, then it will happen. Okay. Right. So this is, if you see with Bill Clinton, it was not. In fact, there was a particular dasha where he was protected. I will show that also. But otherwise, the nature of Bill Clinton was not. That only in a particular dasha he had scandal. Right. There were multiple dashas he had scandals. And why sexual scandal? Because Rahu is in the sign of Venus. Okay. The same is the case in Bill Clinton's chart. He has the same Rahu in Venus.
Taurus. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. This is. Which is causing scandal for him. So, so this is the sexual nature of the scandal. Now, one thing I did find it very interesting in this case, in Hillary Clinton's chart, and we are looking at normal Vimshotri Dasha. Okay, she had the Dasha of Mercury till 1980. Okay, 1980 to 1987 was the Dasha of Ketu. And from 1987 onwards was the Dasha of Venus. Okay. Now, of all the infidelities of Bill Clinton, he didn't have, there's nothing on record, at least I couldn't find. If anyone can, do let me know. Nothing in the Dasha of Ketu.
Despite that,
the Dasha of Ketu protected that. But Venus and Mercury over here with Neecha Surya, also having the Graha Drishti of Mars, okay, is having Drishti on the second house from Upada.
Graha Drishti giving, yeah.
Graha Drishti. So Graha Drishti affects during the Dasha of the planets. Okay. So apart from the Mars apart from the Rahu Saturn combination affecting second Lord Mars, and Rahu being in the sign of Taurus causing sexual scandals and all that, also Venus and Mercury's Graha Drishti on this, causing problems during the dashas of Venus and Mars, but not in the dasha of Ketu. Those 7 years, and interestingly, 1980 when the dasha of Ketu started, that was when she had a child, Chelsea. There only one daughter. Okay, if you see, fifth house from Upapada Lagna is showing the child, and Ketu and Jupiter are having Rashi Drishti on this. So, and Moon, the Lord Moon is in the sign of Jupiter and Ketu. Okay, so maybe the coming of a child, okay, protected the marriage at least for some time in at least from those scandals and all those things. Okay, but per se, Jupiter and Ketu over here aspecting the second house. Okay, Rahu in Ayush Ucha in the 12th house. Okay, this ensures that the marriage lasts, though it has scandals and all those things. It is lasting. Okay, and while the marriage is lasting, what really you got to see is the Upada Lagna itself, which is having a moon very well placed in trines to Jupiter and Ketu. Okay, so hence, despite the whatever adultery Bill Clinton committed, they had the relationship continued. Now, Bill Clinton, while he is still very much alive, and let's hope he lives long, he has had problems with his heart. Okay. He has had, I think, 3 or 4 heart surgeries. Okay, this was in around 2004 to 2010. Around that period, he has had all these surgeries, and you can see here that it is a sign Cancer which is affected by Mars and Saturn. The second lord of Upada is Mars, which is in the sign Cancer, with Saturn and aspected by Rahu. So Cancer is indicating heart. Okay, so that is what is the key problem he's having, and maybe eventually he will die because of mainly heart issue. Okay. So yeah, this was the chart of Clinton. Any questions, or shall we go ahead?
Maybe you can explain this part about the sexual scandal. Dasha's. We already told this.
I explained that, yes.
In Mercury and Venus.
It's very interesting that only in Mercury and Venus Dasha you find most of these problems, and which caused him bad name. Okay, maybe he would have done something bad even during the Ketu Dasha, but it has not caused that much of a big problem.
Well, I think that we have in the fundamental slide that we have this connection. We have to have this connection with Mercury or Mercury signs, and in this way, Venus and Mercury they are giving Drishti.
Yes, right. That's right. Mercury. So one is this: Venus is afflicted badly. It is with Neecha Surya and with Mars aspecting it, and Mercury is also not helping, and it is basically causing this scandals. Yeah. Okay.
How do we differentiate the not the longevity, but the strength of the relationship between second and first from Upapada? Like, what if Upapada itself is afflicted, and what is the difference when second of Upapada is afflicted?
So when Upapada itself is afflicted, the marriage itself is a hell.
Itself.
While you are in the marriage, while you're in the relationship, it's a hell. It's not great, right? And you have to understand why did she not leave him? See, after all, you have Moon in Upapada, and the Lord Jupiter is very well placed. This Moon is also Dharakaraka, if I remember correctly. Okay, so it's not like she's going. I mean, yes, she would have been very hurt with all the scandals and all that, all of which were also true, quite true, right? But she is, in some sense, having this relationship. No, what I would be careful is that she's not sad in this relationship. I would not say she's happy, but she's not really sad. She's not going through a miserable time. Okay. Right? Because of certain strengths which this Upapada has.
So can we say that some relationship...
Just to clarify, Upapada's second house, if it's afflicted, you face those problems as you are ending or when you ended the relationship or when the spouse dies. Some people go through very tough period after the spouse passes away, right? That is if the Upapada's second house is having a lot of afflictions.
What can we say? That some relationships they break because the experience in relationship it's hell, as you said, like it's afflicted, for example, and
they may not break because of that. They may not. Depends. See,
depends on what.
If you can only negatives, if you can only see negatives in Upapada, there's nothing positive you can see in that, then definitely the relationship is heading for breaking. Okay. Even if you are very positive Upapada second house, but Upapada first house, that is Upapada Lagna itself, is badly smashed, then the relationship will break eventually, and it will be very bad experience during the relationship itself. But funnily, if the Upapada second house is very positive, it means once you end the relationship, life is much more better.
This is not the recommendation to the person.
Not the recommendation, but I'm just saying this is how we judge.
Yes. Aspect. This is more to the viewers. This is not the recommendation to what to do.
We never recommend. We try our best to salvage relationship if possible.
Yes, that's right. Okay, let's go to the next slide.
One other aspect I just wanted to say, which has not been said before in this presentation. That is, here the Upapada Lagna is in the 10th house. Okay, so when she met Bill Clinton, this was, they met, I think, during their college days, but it was almost when I think she started to work, I think, at that time. Okay. So her work career had begun, or it was about to begin, right? So 10th house. Okay. So when 10th house got activated, that's when she met that person. Okay. So this is another thing you can use to understand, you know, what is circumstances in which you're meeting the spouse. Okay, depending on the house. Next slide is. Am I right? This is the next one, right? Yeah. So this is the chart of Indira Gandhi, former Prime Minister and a very powerful Prime Minister of India. She ruled India for, I think, more than 15 years as Prime Minister. So, but her marriage life was not that great. Okay. But here we will see her marriage life and also certain aspects regarding her children. Okay. So, she's having Karka Lagna with Saturn. You know, Karka Lagna with Saturn is Raj Yoga. You know, Saturn in, and this is the powerful Parivartana Yoga between Saturn and Moon.
Just like as Clinton's chart,
Clinton's chart has it. Yeah, Clinton's chart has it, and I believe George Bush Jr.'s chart also has it. Okay, so this Karka Lagna, this Saturn in Cancer is like very good for politicians. If you see this, you can definitely recommend. If other things also are supported, then you can recommend the person to get into politics. So here the 12th house is Gemini. Not so good, you know. When we say Mithuna, right? It has Neecha Ketu over here, right? We consider Ketu debilitated in Gemini. The Upapada comes to, Mercury is over here in Scorpio, so 6th house, and we count 6th house from there. We come to Aries. So Aries is a Upapada Lagna. Okay. I tried, but I could not find the chart, birth time of her husband, Firoz Gandhi. Okay. So I'm not sure about his Lagna, so I can't really comment on that. But when we look at other aspects, that's where we don't have the spouse's chart. So we will see the children over here. Okay. And see how it is matching with that. But before that, how was her marriage? Okay. She married in 1942. She was around 25 years of age at that time. And they had 2 children. You can see the 2 people over here, Rajiv Gandhi and Sanjay Gandhi. Rajiv Gandhi went on to become the Prime Minister of India after Indira Gandhi. And Sanjay Gandhi was a very powerful politician when he was alive. None of them are alive now. All of them are dead. Okay. So they had 2 kids, but after, I think Sanjay Gandhi was born in 1947 or so, 5 years into the marriage. Shortly after that, they separated. Okay, Indira Gandhi and Firoz Gandhi, they separated, and Firoz Gandhi, had a reputation of kind of playboy kind of thing. He had his affairs and all beyond. Not that he was a bad man or anything. I mean, he was also able to be a nice person, but he had this weakness of his. Okay. And he eventually died in 1960 or 61. So their relationship, their marriage officially lasted for around 18 years, but you may say practically after 5-6 years, they were just, they were connected. It was not like they were not connected. Because, for public sake, they had to keep an image and all those things. Okay. 1947, when their marriage broke, or 1948 when their marriage broke, also an important year for India, because that is the year 1947 when India became independent, and Indira Gandhi's father, Jawaharlal Nehru, became the Prime Minister of India. Okay, and Indira Gandhi was someone who was, when Nehru tried to groom her into politics, and she became an important aide for her father. Okay, so we'll try and see some of these things. So the the Upapada Lagna is in Aries. Okay, Mars, which is a Lord, is very well placed. Okay. Second house is Jupiter. You will say, wow, fantastic, right? Then what is the issue really over here? Okay, this Jupiter, if you see, is having 3 malefics ahead of it: Saturn and Mars. Okay, this Jupiter is also in Badhaka Sthana. Not good placement from the Lagna. This is
From the
Cancer
Lagna.
Lagna, this is in Taurus, is Badhaka Sthana from the Lagna. Okay, so not a very good situation. Okay, so this Jupiter is very agitated, very angry. It's retrograde. So though Jupiter, it's not like Jupiter is going to damage the marriage. It will try its best to still save the marriage. And I'll show you interestingly how see Jupiter in normal Vishwatri rules around 16 years of age, right?
And
so normally speaking, it should have given around 16 years of marriage.
do we multiply it if it's retrograde, if it's Vakra?
No, on the other hand, I would not multiply if it's retrograde. I would multiply if it's in own sign or exaltation.
But there is Parivartana with Venus.
Right, but you are having a 6th house and 11th house Badhaka Parivartana. I am not so happy with this Parivartana.
Okay.
Right? And this anyway associate Jupiter with another malefic Rahu, which is in debility.
Okay. Yes.
But even without this, we are talking of 3 malefics affecting Jupiter.
3 malefics.
So what we do is, depending on the amount of malefics which are affecting, right, we divide the duration by that. If there are 2 malefics, we can divide by 2. If it is 3, you divide by 3. And it's not just number of malefics. Let's say Jupiter is having some other issue, it is combust, etc. That is also considered an affliction. Okay. So here it is 3 malefics affecting Jupiter. So you divide 16 years of Jupiter by 3, you get around 5 to 6 years roughly. If you see their attachment to each other, which is them being together, official marriage is a different thing. But how long were they attached? This shows how long are people attached to each other. Okay, that was just around 5 to 6 years.
This battery, how long does it last? When it drains out?
Exactly, you're right. So this is one way of knowing it. So depending on the benefic associated with the second house, you try to gauge the number of years. And like you said, if it is exalted and all that, you multiply it. And if it is, debilitated, you automatically reduce it.
Reduce, divide, multiply. So you have to consider all the influences that this graha gets, or lord of the second of Upapada.
Exactly. Yes. All the influences you have to see. Okay. Now, why did what was the cause of his death? Firoz Gandhi, he died at the age of 48, 49 thereabouts. It was not a very, it was a middle age, you would say. And he basically suffered heart attacks. He suffered a series of heart attacks. I think third heart attack, he died, passed away. So the second lord is Venus. Venus is with Rahu. We learned what does Venus and Rahu affect. Venus and Rahu affects
and blood. Yeah.
No, Venus and Rahu affects moon. Venus and Ketu affects Jalatatva. Okay. Venus and Rahu affects moon. Moon rules the heart, blood. Okay. And he had heart attack. Okay. Is there anything else? Yeah. Now I just wanted to talk about her children. Okay. So we see the 5th house from Upapada for the children. Okay. How do we see that? So 5th house from here is Leo, right? And let me just mark that also. This is it, Leo.
Yes.
And where is it? Okay. Mars is over there. And this Mars is having Parivartana with Sun. Okay. So generally, Mars, Sun, they will give children, but fewer numbers. Okay. If you have Jupiter or say Venus, Mercury, Moon, they will give more number of children. I mean, if you see one Jupiter, then you may not say one child, but that Jupiter alone may indicate 2 or 3 children, if it is very strong. Okay, like you will see in the case of, I think, and I forgot whose case it was. Anyway. So Mars and Sun. So you may say this probably can be 2 children. Okay. But what you can definitely say is that you will have one child with a strong Leo Sun kind of thing, and you have another child which is the Sun is with Mercury, something linked to Mercury, Scorpio. Okay, right? This was her first child with her son, Rajiv Gandhi. You can see Leo Lagna with Surya. Okay, and with a lot of planets. He's a very, very strong Leo. And he was born, I believe, in a Mars Antardasha, is it? I think it's mentioned somewhere. Yeah, Venus Mars. Okay. Venus Mars, he was born. And Mars is having Parivartana with Sun, right? So Mars will give the Sun, Surya result. Okay. So she got the Leo child through this. Okay, and Mars anyway is in Leo, by the way. Okay. The second son was Sanjay Gandhi. He was Makara Lagna, but you can see very clearly he has a very strong yoga in Scorpio of Mercury and Ketu. See, this Mercury in Indira Gandhi's chart is having a Parivartana yoga with Ketu. It's a very interesting chart. You have Sun having Parivartana with Mars, Mercury having Parivartana with Ketu. In fact, this is her chart. If anyone wants to understand Parivartana, you study Indira Gandhi's chart. Then you have Rahu having Parivartana, Venus having Parivartana with Jupiter, and Saturn with the Moon. So practically everything is Parivartana over here. But anyhow, you have Mercury Ketu yoga. Okay, and you have Mercury Ketu yoga over here, right? And this child was born in Jupiter Antardasha. See here, Mercury and Jupiter are having a yoga in her chart. Okay, because while Mercury is with Sun, Sun is sort of having a stronger yoga with Mars. So Mercury is, you may say, either with Ketu or Jupiter. So Jupiter gave her this child. Okay. And Venus Jupiter is a dasha. If you see Sanjay Gandhi's chart, is a strong Venus Jupiter in his 10th house. Okay. So you can see these things, these combinations in the chart of the parent, which are also you can see the same similar sign. This is something I observed in many cases. You see the same similar signs, similar planets associated. Cover one more case towards the end of Queen Elizabeth and her children, where I will be explaining some more situation in this case. Let me go to the next slide.
Let's go. Yes, let's go to the next one. Can you? So you said that if you have influence of Jupiter, Venus, Moon, and like these grahas, they can give multiple count of children. So there is no definite count of children that you can define how many children they're gonna be, something like this.
Yeah, for that I think you should not rely on Upapada alone. You should look at Saptamsha and decide number of children, because there, when you're crossing the nodal axis, that limits the number of children you have. So that you will see from Saptamsha. That will be a better indicator. Here you will see more like the combinations which are
combinations there. Like energy, what type of character qualities your children might have, yes, understand.
And also what is your experience with that child also you can see.
In what experience, yes.
So I mean, with Rajiv Gandhi is a Sun Mars kind of experience she had. And Rajiv Gandhi was her support, big support for her after Sanjay Gandhi passed away. Sanjay Gandhi died in an air crash when he was very young. Okay. After that, Rajiv Gandhi was a big support for her, and he was the one who took over her mantle. Okay. Sanjay Gandhi was also important in her life. In fact, Sanjay Gandhi was the original heir apparent for Indira Gandhi. Okay. He was the one she was grooming to take over after her. Even though he was the younger one, Rajiv was not interested in politics initially. He was actually a commercial air pilot. and he was actually working as an air pilot in Indian Airlines. Okay, completely not interested in politics. Okay, so Sanjay was there. He was interested in politics. You can see Saturn in Digbala over here in Cancer is Lagnesha, right? Same Saturn over here. He was interested in. Uh, he was the one, right? But he also caused issues for her, right? You can see this Mercury Ketu Yoga. Ketu is in Nichasthana in 12th house. Okay, so you can see the kind of problem that can happen over here. And Mercury, I am not sure, but Mercury is combust also.
Mm-hmm.
Anyhow, Mercury, this is an afflicted Mercury, right? Sun, Mars aspecting with Ketu, right? So while he was a support in the fifth house, but due to this Parivartana yogas and all, there was an issue coming from him. Well, Raji was always a pillar for her.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually, as towards the end, he was a big support system.
And to look for these characteristics of the children in different relationships, you have to count the proper upapada. You have to find
Yes, and that is where important to determine the upapada linking to a person,
yes,
linking to a particular spouse.
You cannot just take the upapada and make the chart treatment. You have to find the
You can't
correct
just
upapada.
mechanically say, yeah. That's why I've shown few techniques like the lagna of the spouse, the kind of situation you were in when you had the relationship, right? And then the children. I mean, in the case of those who have had children through the relationship, these are things using which you can correct the upapada. Okay, and then also some aspects about the disease of the person, any disease they are having problem, that also. So these are the various techniques you can use to correct the upapada.
Yes.
Okay, and also the upapada connects to the relevant marriage house in the D9. There will be some connection
To the marriage house in D9. Yes.
in D9, and also basis that we can also determine the timing when you get married. The Antardasha will link to the
when these grahas get activated. Yes, I see.
Yeah. These are the various tools you can use to correct it. Okay, this is, I think, the most interesting cases, I would say, which sort of defines this entire presentation for me. Okay, this is the case of Sri Aurobindo, very saintly figure, very high level of philosophy. Okay, read his books. Okay, he established the Aurobindo Ashram, which is even now there in Pondicherry in India, right? He has written beautiful books like the hymns of Rigveda. Okay, so very scholarly figure, someone who knew a lot of languages, all that. But before he went into spirituality, he was actually a freedom fighter. Okay, during the times of British Raj in India, British were ruling India, right? So he was amongst those people who were into more like an armed struggle against the Britishers, not a peaceful Gandhi kind of struggle, more like an armed struggle. His writings were very powerful, and it incited some attacks also. I think in which unfortunately some British women died. Okay, not like their intention was to kill them, but it was like a collateral damage, and he got arrested due to that. Now he was married to Mrinalini Devi. Okay, he married her in 1901. Okay, and then he got arrested in 1908, 7 years down the line. Okay, then what happened once he got arrested? He was there's a beautiful story of how he got released from out of the blue. Chittaranjan Das was a very famous lawyer. He came out of retirement to fight his case, and he came and it was in the prison that Aurobindo had visions of Krishna, Lord Krishna. And when he came out, he was a very changed person. He like completely gave up politics. Okay, and he escaped to Pondicherry in South India. Okay, so he was living in Kolkata, which is in East India. Okay, from there he escaped to Pondicherry in South India. Pondicherry was ruled by French at that time. So hence Britishers could not come and arrest him over there. Okay, So 1908 he went to Pondicherry. Okay. And since then he was completely separated from his wife. Okay. And eventually only in 1918 he called her, you come now to me. Okay. Basically what happened in 1908 onwards, initially when the Britishers were not allowing his wife to go over there.
She was in Kolkata then, yeah?
She was in Kolkata and she could not go over there, okay, to join him. But after a while, it was not Britishers, it was like Aurobindo was not calling her, okay? It was not like he was having an affair or anything. He was basically into his meditation, right? He wanted to, see, even during their marriage, he was a bit of a reclusive person. He told her very early on in the marriage, I'm not a normal husband, don't expect me to be around you, okay? And his friends, he would be traveling, he would be at his friend's place, he would be into his work and all that, into fighting against Britishers and all that. And his friends had to literally coax him to go to his wife. Okay. But his wife was, if someone was as saintly as her, it was his wife. She was very understanding. She supported him through all this. Okay. It's phenomenal. They did not look to be, my husband is away from me, I will go for someone else. No. For 10 years, she waited for him to call her. Okay. Eventually, when he did call her, he said, I will show the letter he sent to her, what words he used and all. When he called her, poor lady, she started off on the journey with her father. On the way, she died due to influenza. So she could never meet her husband. Okay. So let's see his Upapada Lagna. His Karka Lagna, phenomenal with exalted Jupiter, Guru Mangala Yoga in the Lagna. It's also Dharma Karmadipati Yoga. You can see 9th Lord and 10th Lord together, right? Very, very well learned person. Okay. The 12th house is, like in Indira Gandhi's case, same Mithuna, but it's a very different character over here. Okay. This Mercury is over here. So the Upapada Lagna will come to Libra, right? This is the Upapada Lagna. We count from Mithuna to Mercury. Mercury, same 2 houses.
Yes.
So now, benefic sign, ruled by Venus, very nice. Jupiter in Kendra, very good. All sudden they were married to each other even when they were separated. It was not like they were attached to anyone else. There was no one else in their life, right? They would still be writing letters to each other. Okay, she would be waiting his letters. He kept all her letters. She kept all his letters. In fact, she only after on her deathbed she said, after we destroy these letters. I think she asked it to be immersed in the Ganges or something like that. She kept all her letters till that time. Okay. So they had fantastic attachment to each other. Jupiter in Kendra, exalted. Okay. Lord Venus is in Badhaka Sthana. That is a bit of an issue. But interestingly, Badhaka indicates foreign. Right? So I think, in my estimation, they interacted more through the letters when he went away. Okay. Because when they were together, he would see her once in a while. Okay, because we are in Kolkata at the end of the day. What does it matter? But when they were away, he was actually writing to her and she was writing to him. They did have an attachment through that way. But this Venus is combust. Okay, including the Mercury, Lord of 12th house, is combust. Combustion indicates the relationship will survive if it is more spiritual. This was clearly a spiritual relationship. They didn't have children. I think they would have been together, sexually, very rarely, if at all. Okay. Second house is having Ketu in own sign. So I would not really say this is that bad. Jupiter and Mars are having aspect. Mars is again the lord of the sign, even though it is debilitated. Okay.
And Ketu as well can show that this spiritual spiritual mood will drive this relationship to be together.
Very much so. Very much so. But having said that, Mars and Ketu are malefics. They would cause some issues, and especially Mars, when Mars is linked to the second house of Lagna, it will cause issue like celibacy. Okay, there is celibacy involved in the marriage, and they did. I mean, they were separated, they were celibates, right? Uh, so, so there are some positives and as well as some negatives over here. Okay, the aspect of Rahu, Mars and Ketu being malefics does cause some issue. The Lord of Upada being compulsed, being Badakasthana, that those are the negative aspects over here. Okay. I just wanted to go to the next slide.
What about this Danya Parivartana? You have this in
Yes,
slide?
that is also not so positive over here. This Jupiter Moon
1/6.
1/6 Parivartana. While the planets are very good, Jupiter and Moon, but it's a Danya Parivartana. Okay, and this Jupiter is with the second Lord Mars. I mean, the second Lord Mars. So Danya Parivartana is also not good.
And I missed one you said about the Lord of the Upapada, Venus is in Badaka. Badaka,
Yes.
you meant like
Badaka. So Badaka can mean something foreign, unknown.
Unknown, yes.
Okay. Badaka is something you don't know, you don't understand. So hence you also equate it with something foreign, right? So eventually they were separated due to not because they were, they had issues with each other or anything like that, but they were physically in different places. Foreign places.
This is the new way to look for the Badaka, like foreign, like distant place.
Yeah. If you're Badaka linked to Raja Yoga or something, you can definitely say that is more in a foreign country, not in your person.
Something unknown that you have to explore.
Yes. Yeah. You have to deal with something unknown. Yes. Okay. But I think that did help them to have an attachment. Maybe they had. I read some of the letters which he wrote to her when they were together, right, in same place, and he would be writing to her as if like a father to a kid, like you got to be spiritual, you got to be like this and like that, and so on and so forth, and all those things. But she actually followed what he said. That is the interesting thing. Okay, and those days it used to be also like that. I mean, there was a great age difference that separated them. I mean, she was 14 years old when they got married. Okay, he was 29, so there was a big age difference between them. I just want to read out some excerpts of the letter and some things. So this is at last year. So this is something Mrinalini Devi's, I think, niece, her memoirs, in which she has wrote this down. At last, the year arrived, 1918 December. She received a call from Aurobindo saying, "My sadhana is over. I have achieved my object, Siddhi. I have a lot of work to do for the world. You can come now and be my companion in this work." So he's now saying, "I'm ready. Please now come." Okay. This naturally made her her and all her family members very happy. Otherwise, imagine for 10 years she's been living alone. Okay, she's getting some letters once in a while from her husband, but and people those days will talk. You're married to this fellow. What is he? And all those things.
He's not serious. Where is he? He's
yeah. And she was. They say that she became very devout at that point of time. She associated with Shardama, who was Ramakrishna Paramahamsa's wife, right? So she became her student, and she very rigorously followed all her teachings. And Shardama had a lot of sympathy for her. So, and then when the letter came of her death, right? So one of her relatives, I don't know who it was, maybe her brother or someone was there, and he writes to his father, that is Mrinalini's father, "Today I saw tears in your stone-hearted son-in-law." With the telegram in one hand, he sat still and tears were in his eyes. So, I mean, imagine Aurobindo, someone who was meditated so much, who has become detached from the world, he still had such a strong attachment to his wife emotionally, right? And this is a letter which is written to his father-in-law some months, I think 2 or 3 months after her death.
Mhm.
My dear father-in-law, I have not written to you with regard to this fatal event in both our lives. Words are useless in the face of feelings it has caused, if even they can ever express our deepest emotions. Okay. Then he says the physical tie between us is, as you say, severed. If you want to understand what Upapada means, right? The physical tie between us is, as you say, severed, but the tie of affection subsists for us. Where I have once loved, I do not cease from loving. Besides, she who was the cause of it still is near, though not visible to our physical vision.
Mhm.
So this is a very deep connection. That is Upapada. Right? I approve of everything you propose. I mean, they wanted some permissions from him with regards to some possessions of Mrinalini. Whatever Mrinalini would have desired should be done. I consent to her golden bangles being kept by her mother. But I should be glad if you would send me 2 or 3 of her books, especially if there are any in which her name is written.
Mhm.
I have only of her letters and a photograph. Right? So, I mean, you can understand the emotions over here. So, this sort of defines Upapada for me. What is Upapada? You can read this letter and understand the kind of feeling or attachment it is which is there between two people.
Is it?
Right? If this kind of feeling is there, then my point is, even if it is a, a very brief association, maybe even if it is less than a year, maybe I'm just questioning why would it not be an Upapada if such a deep feeling is there?
Yes, yes, like attachment less than a year, but strong feeling. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm questioning. It's not as per Shastra I'm saying over here, but I'm saying it's also about the feeling. It's not about just the number of years, the duration, but also the feeling, what it means to be with a person.
Hmm.
How much close you consider that person to be. Right? This is a photo of them in Nainital, which is very close to Bhutan, by the way. So,
What about this? Her accident that she died on the way to hit. Is it?
she died due to a disease. I think there was some epidemic going on at that time, and she died due to influenza. I, but there was,
So
I think, no proper
can we
postmortem.
say, can we say that Ketu here is like type of Agni Tattva fever and stuff like this, like some sort
Yes,
of.
you may say. See, the planets which are linking over here is Jupiter, Mars, and Ketu. 3 planets.
Yes.
Okay. So um, Mars is also badly situated, right? Ketu is still strong. Mars is debilitated over here.
Mm-hmm.
It is not very clear what she died of. It said influenza, but what really caused her death, it's not very clear. So hence, I did not get into the diagnosis of this one.
So yeah, I see. There's like Mars, like the okay. Let's hear like the Lord of this thing. He got the Rash Drishti of Rahu, and Jupiter is in Parivartana with Moon. So Saturn comes over here as well. So this is why it comes like.
No, with Parivartana, we got to be a bit careful. We can't move around the planets like that. It's not
I'm
like a
just
planet.
I'm just saying that connection. There is Mars and
No,
Saturn.
Mars is, I would not say Mars is connected to Saturn because of this.
Hmm.
Mars is still having issue because of its debility, and the Rahu aspect on Mars is there, which is
Okay.
causing Kujastambhana. Okay, so
Oh,
Mars can indicate something to do with nerves, for example. It is Agni Tattva, so it can cause, like there is some kind of burning. The body
yes.
is
Fever. Burning.
body is deteriorated from inside.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Okay, Jupiter is protecting, actually speaking, over here. Jupiter is not really causing problems. Jupiter is
Mm-hmm.
protecting this Mars. But maybe then the Parivartana happens, and then maybe Moon is not that as protective as Jupiter is.
Mm-hmm. I see.
Moon also causes a bit of debility to the Mars.
to Mars.
But it is primarily Mars which is affected over here. So it's I would conjecture it is a nerve related issue. Okay, because Mars rules nervous system. Okay, maybe she just was physically exhausted. The disease just caused symptoms, but physically she was exhausted. Going through
Energy. Mars has the energy ran out, something like this.
Yeah. So your nerves give away, sort of, that is there. And the fever, you may have other problems with related to other pathologies.
Well,
but I thought this would be a very nice representative case example for what Upapada means. Right?
Yeah. This is a great example.
I have two more cases. I'm sorry.
This is a great example for those who are doubting whether one relationship should be counted as a Upapada or not. So this is the type of example, shows what real Upapada is.
Yeah. It is. It also should link to you emotionally.
Emotionally, linked to emotion. Yeah.
So I have a couple of more cases, and then that would be the end. So now we're coming back to more mundane level, from very high.
From the spiritual relationship to modern relationship. Okay.
Modern relationship. You got to understand both, isn't it? So this is of Demi Moore, Bruce Willis, again very famous people. I'll quickly get into the thing. So Demi Moore has Kumbha Lagna with Jupiter very well placed over here. 12th house is Saturn and Ketu, right? I mean, Saturn is in own sign, that's very good. But with Ketu, that is a bit of an issue aspected by Mars, Rahu, right? So this, when you see this, before you go into Upapada, you should also understand 12th house itself, right? So this doesn't show a very easy life as far as relationship is concerned, right? Okay.
Ketu is not like a Neshta Graha. If we consider Neshta Graha, Ketu is not one of them.
A Neshta Graha will give relationships, but doesn't mean the relationship will be good, no? Right? So these Saturn Ketu will give her relationships, and she has had relationships, several relationships in her life, right? But she's thrice divorced now, 3 times divorced. Right. So that definitely this malefics cause an issue. So what I'm trying to say is you got to also see the 12th house, how 12th house is. Okay. The Upapada Lagna. So now whenever the planet here Saturn is in the same sign, so then you count 10th there from. Okay, and you get the Upapada in Libra. This is a rule. Okay.
Yes.
Because you can't have, when you count from Upapada to Saturn, it is the same sign. Right. And Upapada cannot fall in that same sign or in the 7th house from there. So in that situation, you always count 10th from there. Okay. So you get Upapada in the sign of
Libra.
Okay. Now this was not Bruce Willis. Bruce Willis was her second husband. Okay. Her first husband was Freddie Moore. In fact, she got the surname Moore, or she adopted the surname Moore from Freddie Moore. Her original surname was something like Guinness or something like that. She was Demi Guinness or something like that. Then she became Demi Moore. Sounds better also, right? Demi Moore. So she decided I'm better off as Demi Moore. Her first husband was Freddie Moore, who was a singer. You can see Sun in Lagna over here, indicating a singer. Sun indicates singing, right? And Sun is nature, debilitated. Venus is in own sign. So they sort of exchange results. So Sun results becomes more stronger. He's a singer, right? He was a singer, a musician. He was having a band of his own, and he had some very famous hit songs also. I don't remember which one, but he had. And she was with him. In fact, she was part of the band with him. This was her first relationship.
It's a Raja Yoga for her. This Venus is Lord of.
Yeah, this got her renown. She got. I mean, that's how first she came into limelight. She was, her early life was very not so good at all.
Mhm.
a very bad relationship with her mother. I mean, there's some things which you read about that you'll feel very bad. I mean, she had to go through all those things. At the age of, I think she was hardly something like 16 or 17 when she met Freddie Moore, who was already married at that time, but they immediately had an affair, and then Freddie divorced his earlier wife and he got married to her.
Mhm.
Okay, but they got married in 1981, but in 1983 they divorced. Okay, and in between she had an affair, I think, with Tim Burton, and probably maybe that caused. But I don't think so. That was the reason they divorced anyhow. Um, why? Because you see Sun, Nietzsche's Sun over here, right? You have Mars aspecting, you have Saturn aspecting. It's enough. This relationship cannot last. Even though it is with Venus, there's a lot of affection. They loved each other. Jupiter is having an aspect, okay, but Jupiter is not in Kendra though from this Upapada Lagna. So hence it's not very stable. So you ask the question, what if the Upapada first house is having afflictions? This is an example of Upapada first house having afflictions, and that is causing the end of the marriage. In fact, if you see second house also, second lord Mars is debilitated and having Kujastambhana over here. So
Yes,
that
yes.
is also not any great story. Basically, this marriage cannot last for long.
Mhm.
Okay, so they left each other. Then she had, I think, another relationship with Emilio Estevez. Okay, now here is an interesting thing. I think this relationship lasted just a little over a year. Okay, but this is not giving an Upapada. Okay, because clearly her second Upapada. How do you count the next Upapada? I think I did not mention that before. The next Upapada you count eighth house from there.
Mhm.
So Libra is the first Upapada. You want to go to the next. I think till now we have been only dealing with those who had one Upapada. So hence this question didn't arise. So this is the first case where we are having someone who has had two marriages and all. So the second Upapada you count eighth house from Libra. Okay,
Mhm.
so you get Taurus. So this is the second Upapada. And this second Upapada is in trines to the Lagna of Bruce Willis,
Mhm.
which is Virgo. So you can very clearly see that this is the second Upapada. So Emilio Estevez is not an Upapada. It's an
Mhm.
affair. Maybe there was no deep attachment over there.
Because if we go to the third one, again, count eight,
Eight,
we
yes.
will arrive at Sagittarius,
Sagittarius.
and,
And
and
that has
and
no
this,
link to his Lagna.
yes, and it's no link to Lagna. Okay,
No
yeah.
link.
This
Nothing.
is why we decided that the second one, Emilio, was just an affair, not a papada. Okay.
Not an Upapada. Yeah. Yeah. So it's neither here nor there. Okay, it's not an Upapada. Okay. What is he? Probably is one of the A7s, out of the seventh house. But we'll not get into that. Okay. So this is the second one. Okay, how is this? Again, benefic sign. Lord is Venus. Not very well placed from here, but well placed from the Lagna also. You know. Uh, so some positive over here. Negative second house, Mithuna Rashi. We don't like that.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, whatever I have read, I could not see any divorce, could not see any affairs while they were married, but could have been. Who knows? I'm not sure. Though. Okay, I can't. And when I looked at Bruce Willis Navamsha, for example, because it was Bruce Willis who eventually divorced her. Okay. There was some issue. I mean, and you can clearly see from the chart that it is Bruce who divorced her. And the reason was not, I think, related to any infidelity. It was more that they had disagreements. Bruce did not like her continuing to work after marriage. Okay. So that was the primary reason. And you can see that in Bruce's Navamsha. But that is not point over here. The second lord is Mercury, which is again having an issue over here, right? With this, uh, you have Mars aspect, Saturn aspect, Sun together with it. So again, it is probably a problem with the second lord over here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So while she was married to him, she had a very good time. I think some of her greatest hits and all that were there. After she left him, also, I will not say that she has gone down or anything, but it has not been as great as what she was. I mean, some of her most well-known films, like Striptease and all, which she was very well known for, okay, were during her marriage with Bruce Willis. I also tried to see whether how this can define the period. They were married for 13 years.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can see, the second Lord Mercury, okay, is with Venus, which is a stronger benefic over here, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if we take Venus as giving the period, Venus is in own sign, so 20 is the period for Venus into 2 because it's in own sign, so it gives 40 years, okay.
Mm-hmm.
But you have 3 malefics affecting it: Rahu, Saturn, and Sun. Okay, maybe Mercury partially, you may say. Okay, but 3 for sure. So you divide 40 by 3, you get 13 years. They were exactly married for 13 years.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And marriage itself, I think it was not that good, because we have this Rashi Drishti for Papa Graha on the Taurus.
Yeah, true. But also, I would still say there was bit of she had 3 children through this marriage. She didn't have children through Freddie Moore.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, her first marriage. In fact, I believe one of the reasons why she left Freddie Moore was because Freddie Moore did not want children, and she wanted. Okay, you can see the 7th Lord is Sun in the 9th house.
Mm-hmm.
This indicates that she wanted children, or maybe was it Freddie Moore who wanted children? Maybe one or the other.
Mm-hmm.
But she didn't have children through him. Okay, but she had children through Bruce Willis. So this was a very productive marriage. See, there's another lord of this sign, which is Moon.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and maybe Moon works for some period of time also. Okay. Especially as Venus is in own sign. And also, when Venus is in own sign, you consider the Uchanata Jupiter to give results.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So maybe Jupiter is in Kendra to this. See, in the first Upapada, Jupiter is not in Kendra to this. Second Upapada, Jupiter is in Kendra.
More stable.
So it's more stable. Okay. But as you said, yes, there are malefics affecting it. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
My sense is probably this also shows, in fact, my reason for studying this chart was originally, you see, Bruce Willis suffers from, we just recently announced that he suffers from what's called frontotemporal dementia. He's
dementia, mental.
Having dementia, right? So I wanted to see if there's some way we can understand that through this chart. That's what I wanted to actually understand that. I believe these malefics affecting over here, right, are showing that affliction also. See, they also have a good relationship. Despite breaking off, they still enjoy a good relationship with each other. It's not all that bad for them.
Well, I think because of the dementia, what kind of disease is that? It's all this Papa Graha have Drishti on the Upapada, and the second, we, as you mentioned, we have to look for the second house, second lord. Second lord is Mercury, and it's afflicted as well, as you said, by the Mars, by the Saturn, and by the Sun. And if it's combust here, so there is going to be some issues.
I think one of these planets are combust. I'm not sure which one, Venus or Mars. One of them are combust.
Mm-hmm. So this one might bring some disease issues. Okay.
It might be. Though honestly, I'm not able to. I'm admitting over here, I'm not able to understand how it is dementia, because dementia is basically it is affecting memory. Memory is covered by Jupiter. Okay. Having said that, probably see this particular dementia that Bruce Willis is suffering from. What it does is it affects those neurons in the brain which are linking to emotion recognition, emotion. Okay, and probably Venus affliction is sort of indicating that. Venus is about emotions. So hence what happens, your ability to relate to people is about relationships, right? Your ability to relate to people, that is affected significantly. You tend to lose your linking to each other. Another thing which it affects very interestingly is speech, because emotions, the connection between emotion and speech, that is my ability to reflect emotions through my speech is affected. And in fact, Bruce Willis, that was a major problem he was having towards 2020, 2021, when this was detected. He was not able to deliver his lines, his dialogues, right? Speech, and that is governed by Mercury.
Yes, that's a good point.
So I think that is probably indicating the affliction aspect over here. Okay, right. So, but anyway, this relationship also didn't last, and then she married Ashton Kutcher after a few years, and that relationship lasted for, I believe, 6 years. If you see the next Pupada Lagna that will come, I have not covered it in this slide, but it will come in Sagittarius. Second house to that you have Saturn and Ketu, right? So again, it doesn't show something which will last for a very long time.
Despite that Saturn is Swakshetra, there is Drishti of Rahu Mars.
Mars, yeah. And Ketu is not good.
It's not good.
Yeah. Okay. So this was about Demi Moore. I'll come to my last slide, where I try to explain the children aspect again a little bit in depth. And, this is a chart of Queen Elizabeth. I mean, from a lady who has had 3 divorces to another lady who has had a long marriage. I think they got married in 1946 or 7, I believe. And I think Prince Philip died only in 2020 or 21, was it? So almost 73 years they were married. Right. So let's see her situation.
How do you decide in this case what Upapada should we count? We have 2 lords of the Scorpio.
Yeah.
Ketu and Mars are exalted, both of exalted.
I was also thinking a lot about that. Which one? So let's cover it. So you have 12th house is Scorpio with Saturn. Honestly, don't like this situation.
Yeah.
So some opine, if Ketu is in Lagna, you should count in reverse. Okay, so 12th house should be this rather. And I'll go by the normal way. So this is 12th house. So you have 2 lords. You have Ketu, you have Mars. Yeah. And both are exalted. Okay, here's the question. When you have 2 lords, what do you do? Okay, the straightforward answer is, first you see which is a stronger lord. Okay. Here it's a bit confusing because both are exalted. Okay. Though marginally I will say Ketu's exaltation is strong because Ketu is alone. You see, here with Mars, what is the issue? It is with a debilitated planet, Neecha planet. So hence, this Ketu is probably giving the more stronger, giving the Upada than Mars. Okay, but if Mars is giving the Upada, it would go to Pisces.
Yeah. Okay. But if Mars would have been connected with some other graha rather than Jupiter, it would have been maybe more strong because Jupiter is debilitated. Yeah, because the rule of the many 2 grahas. Yeah.
Yes, you're right. You're right. If there was some other planet, maybe we could consider the Mars to be stronger because of the rule of democracy. But anyhow, Ketu over here is giving the Upada here in Capricorn. Okay. Here it was so tough because if you say Mars, it is coming to Pisces. If you see Prince Philip's chart, Prince Philip's Lagna is Cancer. Whether you take Mars or Ketu, either way it will work. How will you know which is the Upada?
So because he is the king. he is the king. There is Atmakaraka over there. If I
Which one? I'm sorry.
Because Prince Philip is a prince. He is the king, and there is Jupiter as an Atmakaraka. Like this. This is his qualities.
Yeah, but Prince Philip was not technically the king. She was the ruler. Okay, She was. I mean, either ways, if you see the second house is so strong. I mean, you have exalted sun over here. You have Venus, which is a benefic over here. But here, if you see, the Upapada has Neecha Mercury.
Neecha Mercury.
While here you have exalted Mars with debilitated Jupiter. But as you said, it is Atmakaraka, and so this is very clearly much more stronger than this as an Upapada itself. Okay, if you want to say, we have a 70-year-old marriage, I would say Capricorn defines that much better than Pisces. Okay, because you are exalted here, right?
I agree on that.
And this is also a Raja Yoga in her chart. Okay, this is when you study other aspects, Raj Yoga, the kind of Mars following she has, the amount of properties she has. Okay, Mars exalted. Okay, that's all defined much more by Capricorn. Okay. Now, what I wanted to show in this chart is the children. Okay, they had 4 children: Charles, the eldest, then Anne, then Andrew, and Edward. Okay, so I wanted to show you the combinations of the planets considering from the Upapada Lagna, and also the timing aspect, okay, of when those children were born. So Upapada Lagna is in Capricorn. This is a female chart, so we see 5th house for children. Okay, so the 5th house will come Taurus. Okay, so which all are the planets linking to Taurus, and you will see Rashi Drishti over here, or Lords. Okay, so you have Jupiter, Mars are having Rashi Drishti,
Moon,
right over here, and then you have Moon, which is having Rashi Drishti. Moon is also a co-lord of Taurus, and then the other lord is Venus. Okay, so you have 4 planets over here. I'm not saying this indicates 4 children. Okay, not because of this I'm saying, but yeah, I mean, you can see these combinations in the children's chart. Okay, now the first child was Charles, who was born in Jupiter Mars. That is Queen Elizabeth Jupiter Mars.
Straight shot.
And now you see how is Mars in Charles's sign. Okay, Mars is very strong in 5th house in own sign. Okay, 5th house is also power. Okay, and you see, like you said, this Mars is with the Atmakaraka of Queen Elizabeth. Okay, so but I think in this case, why it took him so much time to get power from her. Okay, see, there's a concept of Garbha Graha. I will not dwell too much on that over here, but the first child is indicated by Sun.
Yeah.
First child is Sun, second child is Jupiter, third is Mercury, third is Ketu, fourth is, I think, is it from there? Mercury, like that. Okay, so Sun over here is in Dikshunya, Neecha Sun, and it is in 12th house from Mars. Maybe that is what delayed, but eventually he had to be the king. I mean, he was, he just connecting to the Atmakaraka of hers is very strong and well placed, right? And this also defines what he was for her. Yes, I mean, there were issues with Diana and all that. Okay, but he has been, he was you may say a loyal prince, king in waiting under her. He discharges responsibilities and whatnot properly and all that. Okay. The next child was Queen Anne. Prince Anne. My mistake. She was also born in the same Jupiter Mars Antardasha. Okay, and she's having Mars in Lagna. So she's also defined by Mars.
Mhm.
But I believe she is more of this Venus influence. There's this another planet, Venus, which is linking to her.
Lord of the Taurus, yeah.
Yeah, Libra Lagna, Venus in 10th house. And she, amongst all the royal and all the children, she's one very popular. She's one of the most hardworking. She's done, I think, thousands of royal engagements in her life. She started at in her teens. Okay, and very self-sacrificing, popular lady. Okay, and proper lady. It's very. You can't really see there's any controversy attached to her. Okay, the next child is the very opposite of this. Okay, he was born in Jupiter Moon. How is Moon in her chart? Moon is in Marana Karaka Sthana, aspected by Rahu, aspected by Mars. Okay, and this child is Andrew. He was associated with that infamous what is it, Jeffrey Epstein, who used to traffic young girls, sexually traffic young girls. Okay, he was associated with that guy, and there are some sexual allegations against Andrew. Okay.
So,
And the last is Edward. Okay, so now Edward was born in Jupiter Mercury, right? Mercury in Queen Elizabeth's chart is in Pisces. Its lord is Jupiter, right? So this is again coming through the Jupiter link. Okay, and if you see Edward, his Lagna is Virgo Lagna, lorded by Mercury. And Jupiter is very strong in his chart because of I'm saying because Mercury is in Jupiter's sign in Elizabeth's chart, right? So this Jupiter is very strong, and this Jupiter is in Pisces, where Mercury is. You can see.
Yes.
This Jupiter is over there, very strong, and though Bhadakesha is aspecting Lagna very strongly. Okay, and Edward was initially he was trained for military and all that. Okay, like all the royals, they had to he had to serve in the military, and he was educated in military school and all that. But he was not interested in military, and he left it to have a career in entertainment. Virgo Mercury. Vivaswan Aditya, we say, is very strong. That is, Virgo is very strongly linked to entertainment industry. Okay, so he left Mars to this is Mars. You see, there's Jupiter is with Mars over here. So initially Mars influence, but eventually Mercury. See, Mercury is getting a Niche Bhanga here. It's because Mercury is one planet which can give itself Niche Bhanga.
Yes.
If it is in Kendra. Okay. But initially it is having this Marana Karaka experience. He was having a Marana experience in military, was not interested in that. So you can see that the child's experience also reflected in the parents' chart.
But first you have to differentiate. When you have the child, you can see the influence and you can see the impact, the experience that this parents, this mother, this father, they could have with this child. For example, with Andrew, she got like this all the MKS, Moon, Rahu Drishti, Mars Drishti, and experience not that good. But with Charles, as you said, this is what brings her up as the queen, and he supports this. Okay.
There is some issues also because Mars is with a debilitated Jupiter. There's a Mars Saturn Parivartana over here. Okay. So yes, there were challenges with even Charles, but this Mars is very strong in this chart.
Yeah, but overall, this is a good way for application. Like if somebody is asking, how is my relationship with children, and you based on the Upapada, you can say something. You can distinguish if you have charts of the children. You can have a definite answer to the person. So this is practical.
This is another tool you can have apart from say Saptamsha or any other ways to determine how the experience will be.
One question about this duality of when you have two lords of the 12th house. When we decide which Upapada is first, the next count, we continue from this one? Or is
so when you have two lords,
like this example, like here.
Yeah.
Let me clear.
So let's take this same example. Let's take Queen. Let's say she had next marriage. Then where do we see the Upada from? So the way about this is you count alternatingly between the two grahas.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So here the first Upada was given by Ketu.
Mm-hmm.
So that let's put number 1 here. This is 1, right? Okay. The next Upada will come from the other lord, which is Mars.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but it is the second Upapada of Mars.
So you
Which
have
means you are
from
counting the first Upapada of Mars. I'll take some other color. Mars red. Okay, so the first Upapada of Mars is here in Pisces.
Yeah, but the second will be
you are saying the second relationship, so you count 8 from there. So you come to Libra. So this is second of Mars. So first Upapada will be in Capricorn. Second Upapada will be in Libra. Now the third Upapada, you have to go back to Ketu.
You have to count the 3 in green. Like
third one. Yes.
Third one in green.
So this is the first. Again, I'll take green ink. Yeah. So this is the first of Ketu. This is the second of Ketu, which
Leo is the second. Yeah.
Yeah. And the third of Ketu is again in Pisces over here.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, my 3 is a bit bad, but this is
it's all right. It's all right. Yeah, I see. So
this is how we will continue back and forth.
So it's better to have one lord of the Upapada, so it's easy.
Yeah, if there is 2, then it does, and especially in this case, both are coming to the matching the spouse. But you can use. I mean, I did not use Navamsha over here and all. Using Navamsha and all, you will definitely be able to figure out. Here I showed through the children, for example, very clearly that which Upapada is working.
Yeah. Through the children and through the Prince Philip as well, his chart as well. Like
but Prince Philip's case, as I said, both Upapada through Mars and Ketu, it was matching him. In the sense, see, the Upapada in Capricorn is 7th house. Upapada in Pisces is trines to it.
Yes.
So you can't really decide which is the Upapada.
Agree on that one. Yeah.
So that's what I have today. I think.
Thank you. That was a wonderful class with all the theory, fundamentals, examples. Thank you for this wonderful lecture on Upapadas, on the meaning of the Upapada. There is a website of Kartik. You can go over there and look for to contact him if you find this lecture interesting. There is consultations he provides over there as well. Kartik as well is very profound in career and job specifications. So if you're looking for this kind of assistance based on your chart, you can always contact him. Yeah. Maybe anything you would like to say to the viewers, and maybe some your advice to them you can give in Jyotish, in studying Jyotish.
As you can see over here, while we did a lot of theory, ultimately when we did the examples, that's when we, you may have all those shlokas saying Mercury plus Ketu is this, Venus plus Ketu is this, etc. But when it's applying it in charts is when you really learn. Okay, and so all these principles, my advice is just go and apply in at least 5, 10, maybe 15 charts. People you know of or famous people whose facts you have with you, and learn from that. Otherwise, this will not, become solid in your mind. Okay, and that's the only way to resolve doubts. If you have to resolve doubts in your mind, go and apply in charts and then learn from there. Okay, that's all I had to say on this.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you for this opportunity, and I hope I've been able to, give a good session and give adequate knowledge on this topic. I've tried to cover many different principles, but I think this will give a practical help to people. And they'll be able to start analyzing Upada if they had no idea about it earlier. At least basis this, they will be able to, and I've also given reference. It is from all of it is from the Parashara Vara Shastra, so they can refer to this. And that's all I have to say. There's much more shlokas over there. I only captured a few things.
Great. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.